Combat Log, Battle of Kepler-442b Entry 1 Commander Zik'thar, Galactic Defense Coalition timestamp. 14 hours before disaster, I am Commander Zik'thar of the 7th Fleet, recording this log as required by Coalition protocols. I have been assigned a human military advisor for our assault on the Kresh stronghold at Kepler-442b. His name is Captain Sarah Chen. She is small, disturbingly small. Humans average 17 meters, barely reaching my chest plates. She weighs perhaps 70 kilograms. My combat armor alone masses more than that. The Coalition's decision to include humans in our military operations remains controversial. They are recent additions to galactic civilization, less than 50 years since first contact. They possess no natural armor, no venom, no combat-specialized biology. They are, by all measurable standards, physically inferior to every other Coalition species. Yet High Command insists. Captain Chen reviewed our assault plan today. Our strategy is sound. Overwhelming orbital bombardment, followed by ground forces in a standard pincer formation. We have 12,000 troops, Draxian shock troopers, Vilrathi heavy infantry, Korvax tactical units. The Kresh defenders number perhaps 3,000. Victory is mathematically certain. Acceptable losses are calculated at 8–12% casualties. Captain Chen asked one question: what's the evacuation plan if things go wrong? I explained that Coalition doctrine accounts for strategic retreat. If casualties exceed 15%, we withdraw to preserve force strength. She stared at me for several seconds. Then she said something that made no sense. You don't leave people behind. I assured her our evacuation protocols are efficient. We recover 60–70% of casualties during tactical withdrawals. She repeated, you don't leave people behind. I do not understand humans. Combat Log, Entry 2 timestamp, Hour 6 of assault, everything going according to plan. The orbital bombardment was successful. Kresh defensive positions have been degraded by 73%. Ground forces are advancing on schedule. Captain Chen requested to embed with the forward assault units. Against my better judgment, I approved. She carries human weapons, primitive kinetic firearms they call rifles. Chemically propelled metal projectiles, crude, but I admit, effective within their limited range. First contact with Kresh defenders occurred at 8:47 hours. Our forces performed admirably. The Kresh are fierce but disorganized. Captain Chen's unit, 3rd Platoon, Vilrathi Heavy Infantry, encountered resistance at grid reference 447 Alpha. I monitored their combat feed. The humans fight differently. Vilrathi doctrine emphasizes overwhelming force. Charge forward, break the enemy line, accept casualties to achieve objectives. It is efficient. It works. The humans in 3rd Platoon didn't charge. They moved in pairs, covering each other. When Vilrathi troopers pushed forward, the humans stayed back, providing what they call suppressing fire. When a Vilrathi trooper fell, humans immediately moved to retrieve them, even under direct fire. Chen to command, her voice crackled over comms. We've got 3 Vilrathi down at 447 Alpha. They're still alive, requesting medical evac. I informed her that medical evac was scheduled for after the objective was secured. Standard protocol. Negative, command. They won't last that long. I'm pulling my squad back to secure them. Captain, your orders are to advance. The wounded will be recovered during. I don't leave my people behind, Commander. We're getting them out, now. She violated direct orders, pulled her entire squad, 8 human soldiers, out of the assault line to retrieve 3 wounded Vilrathi. The Vilrathi weren't even her species. Surprisingly, 3rd Platoon's Vilrathi commander supported her decision. The humans are right, Commander. We go back for our brothers. The entire platoon halted their advance. Under fire, they created a defensive perimeter, stabilized the wounded, and carried them back to friendly lines. It cost us 43 minutes. It should have cost us the momentum of the entire assault. But something unexpected happened. Other units saw what 3rd Platoon did. Saw humans risking their lives for wounded Vilrathi. Saw Vilrathi refusing to leave anyone behind. Morale across the assault force increased by measurable margins. Units that had been fighting as separate species began coordinating, covering each other, watching each other's backs. We took the first objective ahead of schedule. I still don't understand humans. Combat log, entry 3 timestamp. Hour 11 situation deteriorating. The crash had reinforcements. Intelligence failed us. What we thought was 3,000 defenders was actually 3,000 defending a garrison of 15,000. They'd hidden their main force in underground bunkers our orbital scans missed. They hit us from 3 sides simultaneously. Casualties spiked to 18% within the first hour of contact. I gave the order to retreat. Coalition doctrine is clear. Preserve force strength, withdraw, regroup, request reinforcements. Fighting a numerically superior enemy in disadvantageous terrain is tactically unsound. The retreat order went out at 13:23 hours. By 13:25 hours, 87% of coalition forces had begun withdrawing to the landing zone. The humans hadn't moved. Captain Chen, you are ordered to fall back to the LZ immediately. Negative, Commander. We've got 400 wounded scattered across the battlefield. The Kresh are executing anyone they find. We're not leaving them. Captain, there are 15,000 enemy combatants. You have perhaps 200 human soldiers. The mathematics of this situation. I don't care about your math, Commander. We don't leave people behind, ever. I tried to reason with her, explain that sacrificing 200 humans to save 400 already wounded soldiers was illogical. The 400 were likely to die anyway. Better to preserve the 200 effective combat units. Her response was 2 words: watch us. Combat log, entry 4 timestamp. Hour 12 witnessing the impossible. I should have ordered the fleet to abandon them. Coalition regulations were clear, but I had to see what they would do. 200 human soldiers against 15,000 Kresh, attempting to rescue 400 wounded from 16 different positions across a 40-square-kilometer battlefield. It was suicide. They did it anyway. Captain Chen split her forces into 25 8-person teams. Each team was assigned a wounded recovery point. They moved fast. Humans are slower than most species in straight-line speed, but they have this endurance. They don't stop. They just keep going. Team 7, led by a human sergeant named Kowalski, reached a position where 23 wounded Draxians were pinned down by Kresh fire. Standard doctrine: suppress enemy, recover wounded, withdraw. Kowalski's team did something different. They attacked. 8 humans assaulted a Kresh position of approximately 60 combatants. They used explosives, flanking maneuvers, and what they call violence of action. They didn't try to suppress the enemy. They destroyed them. In 4 minutes, Team 7 eliminated the Kresh position, secured the wounded, and were moving to their next objective. I watched this pattern repeat across the battlefield. Human teams weren't retreating. They were attacking. Every position where wounded were trapped, humans hit the enemy so hard and so fast that the Kresh didn't have time to respond. But the numbers were still impossible. 200 soldiers, even exceptional ones, cannot defeat 15,000. That's when Captain Chen did something that will be studied in military academies for generations. She called for volunteers. Combat log, entry 5 timestamp. Hour 13, the turning point. This is Captain Sarah Chen to all coalition forces. We have 400 of your brothers and sisters scattered across this battlefield. The Kresh are killing them as we speak. Command has ordered a retreat. I am not retreating. I am not leaving anyone behind. Her voice was steady, calm, absolutely certain. I know I'm asking you to disobey direct orders. I know the odds are shit. I know a lot of us probably won't make it back. But I also know that every single being we save today is someone's friend, someone's family, someone who matters. She paused. Humans have a saying, no one gets left behind. Not on my watch, not ever. If you believe that too, if you can't stomach the idea of leaving wounded soldiers to die while we run away, then turn around and fight with us. I waited for the response. Expected perhaps a few dozen idealistic young soldiers to make the fatal mistake of following her. 3,847 coalition soldiers turned around. Nearly a third of my entire force, from a dozen different species, defied direct orders and charged back into combat. Because a 1.7-meter human told them no one gets left behind. Combat log, entry 6 timestamp. Hour 15, understanding humans. What happened next should not have been possible. 4,000 coalition soldiers, now coordinated, now fighting not as separate species but as one unified force, hit the Kresh like a hammer. Humans led every assault team. They weren't the strongest or the fastest, but they had something else. Something the rest of us had forgotten. They had absolute, unwavering commitment. When a human squad said, "Follow me," soldiers followed. When a human said, "We're going to get them out," everyone believed it. When a human said, "No one gets left behind," it became an unbreakable law of reality. The Kresh fought hard. They killed 347 of us, but we killed 8,000 of them. And we rescued every single wounded soldier, all 400. Captain Chen's last radio transmission as her team carried out the final wounded Korvax soldier. "Command, this is Chen. All personnel accounted for. We're coming home, all of us." Combat log, entry 7, final assessment. Timestamp, hour 22 after action review. High Command has requested my assessment of human military integration. I have spent 40 years in the Coalition military. I have commanded forces from 27 different species. I thought I understood warfare. I was wrong. We focus on acceptable losses, efficient tactics. Mathematical optimization of force preservation. We fight to minimize casualties because we view soldiers as resources to be conserved. Humans don't. Humans view every soldier as irreplaceable, not because they're mathematically irrational, but because they fundamentally reject the premise that any loss is acceptable. This makes them insane by our standards. It also makes them the most effective combat force in the galaxy. Here is what I learned today. Humans don't retreat, they advance in a different direction. Humans don't accept casualties, they prevent them. Humans don't calculate odds, they create new ones. Humans don't leave people behind, and that means anyone who fights beside them becomes people. The 3,847 soldiers who turned around didn't just follow Captain Chen. They became part of something humans have that we've lost, a unit that is genuinely, completely, irrevocably committed to each other. We won today not because we had superior numbers or technology. We won because 200 humans taught 4,000 coalition soldiers what it means to actually give a damn about the person fighting next to you. My recommendation to High Command: every coalition unit should have human advisors. Not because humans are the best fighters, though they are exceptional, but because they will teach our forces something we desperately need: how to care whether everyone makes it home. Personal log, Commander Zik'thar. Timestamp, hour 24. Personal thoughts. Captain Chen visited me in my quarters tonight. She brought 2 bottles of something humans call whiskey. Said it's a tradition after tough battles. I asked her the question that had been bothering me all day. "Captain, you risked 200 human lives to save 400 wounded soldiers. Many of those wounded would have died anyway. By any mathematical analysis, you should have retreated. Why didn't you?" She took a drink, then looked at me with those small, soft human eyes that somehow contain more steel than any Draxian combat trooper. "Commander, humans learned something a long time ago back on Earth. We learned it in wars that killed millions. We learned it in battles that should have been impossible to survive. We learned it when we sent soldiers to places so terrible that the only thing keeping them alive was knowing their brothers would come for them. And what did you learn? That the second you start deciding which lives are worth saving and which aren't, you've already lost the war. Because wars aren't won by mathematics or efficiency. They're won by people who trust each other completely. Who know, not hope, but know, that if they fall, someone will come back for them." She poured me a drink. "You asked me why we don't have a word for acceptable losses. It's because the moment you accept that losing people is okay, you stop fighting like they matter. And Commander," she raised her glass, "everyone matters, every single person. That's not mathematics, that's humanity. We drank together in silence. I finally understand humans, and I am terrified of what they will teach us." Epilogue, Coalition Military Directive 7743, issued 6 months after Battle of Kepler-442b. Subject, integration of human combat doctrine, effective immediately. All coalition military units will adopt the following human protocols. 1. No one gets left behind. Casualties will be recovered during combat operations, not after. Medical evacuation is priority equal to objective completion. 2. Acceptable losses equals 0. Mission planning will prioritize casualty prevention. Commanders who treat soldiers as expendable will be removed from command. Asterisk 3. Unit cohesion over species segregation. Mixed species units will train together, fight together, and are responsible for each other regardless of species origin. Asterisk 4. Human advisory integration. All battalion level and higher commands will include human military advisors with full tactical authority. Asterisk 5. New coalition motto replacing previous motto, victory through superior force, new motto. Everyone goes home, proposed by Captain Sarah Chen, approved by unanimous vote of the Coalition High Command. Classified addendum KRESH intelligence intercept recovered from Kresh Command Network, 3 weeks after battle, too. All KRESH military commanders, Ray. Engagement with human FORCES priority. Critical if your forces encounter human military units. Do not engage under any circumstances. The coalition has integrated a species that fundamentally does not understand the concept of strategic retreat or acceptable casualties. They will sustain 90% casualties before withdrawing. They will assault numerically superior forces to recover a single wounded soldier. They will violate every logical rule of warfare to avoid leaving anyone behind. This makes them unpredictable, dangerous, impossible to break, but more importantly, they're infectious. Every coalition species that fights alongside humans begins adopting their insane tactical doctrine. Units that previously retreated at 15% casualties now fight to 70%. Soldiers who once viewed warfare as a job now view it as a sacred duty to their comrades. The humans are not just winning battles. They're transforming the entire coalition military into something that fights like they do. Assessment: we cannot defeat an enemy that refuses to accept defeat and teaches everyone around them to do the same. Recommendation: avoid human forces. Seek diplomatic solutions. Do not engage in ground combat with any unit containing human elements. Final note: today we lost 8,000 soldiers because 200 humans decided mathematics didn't matter. They were outnumbered 40 to 1 and they still won. These beings are not rational. They are not survivable. They are human. Avoid at all costs. The end. Final combat statistics. Battle of Kepler-442b. Human casualties: 23 killed, 67 wounded. Coalition casualties, non-human: 324 killed, 891 wounded recovered, 100%. Kresh casualties: 8,247 killed, 3,892 captured. Mission objective: exceeded acceptable losses calculation. Error division BY0. Reason for error: humans don't accept losses. Humanity status: still refusing to do math. Coalition status: learning not to leave people behind. Galaxy status: reconsidering what acceptable means. End combat log.